Hey everybody, thank you for joining us today. Another episode from Benchmark Studios. With us today, special guest Nat. This is your second appearance in the studio.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back.
Yeah, well, we are excited to have you back. The first time was audio only, so it was just the MP3 that we uploaded and didn't do anything with video. Exciting, though, it's still the most downloaded episode.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It makes me really happy.
Yeah, I don't think I told you that before the show, but...
Maybe this one will be the second most downloaded.
One can only hope. Yeah, I think so that episode was focused on your personal story. Growing up in West Virginia, coming here to Lancaster, Pennsylvania for college, and getting involved in Benchmark. And I think your story resonates with a lot of people, and you're very authentic and relatable in how you tell it. So I think that all came together to deliver a great episode that people really vibed with.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Today, though, I think it would be fun and really instructive to kind of focus on some of your more professional and academic pursuits. So recap for anyone who didn't catch that first episode, which, by the way, you can find it on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Go back and listen to it. Well worth it. But just a quick recap. Tell everybody kind of how you ended up here in Lancaster.
Yeah, so I'm from West Virginia, a very small town in West Virginia, and I came to Lancaster for college. I'm going to Pennsylvania College of Art and Design, and I'm in my second year. And in my first year being here, I was looking for a job, and I just so happened upon a screen printing position at Benchmark Apparel, which is our social enterprise. And I managed to get the job, and being a graphic design major as well at PCAD, it really goes hand in hand with the screen printing position. So while I'm studying graphic design, I'm also getting real world experience actually being here. So yeah, it was a pretty quick, I guess. I got to Benchmark Apparel really quick upon getting into college. I think I was hired here in November, and I got into Lancaster late August. So I was pretty quick to get the job. So yeah, timing was honestly just really great, and it's been really great studying and working here simultaneously.
I can imagine a lot of people would not characterize working and studying at the same time as great, but I'm happy to unpack that a little bit more because I think that's really central to the work we do here and to who you are as a person. So just kind of in general, you already mentioned Benchmark Apparel is a social enterprise of Benchmark program,
right.
The nonprofit. We use screen printing, heat press to deliver a product. Traditionally in a nonprofit space, you can't charge people for what the work you do. And at Benchmark, there's not really anything to charge. We provide strength-based mentoring to high-risk youth. But you are actually delivering a product. So can you kind of tell us just a little bit about the business and what kind of tools you use to deliver your service?
Yeah, so as a social enterprise, our goal is to not only maintain a successful and profitable business, but it's also to give back to the community and contribute to their well-being. And so how we do that is we also employ the students here. There's currently one student working with us who's a high school student, and I think it's his first job he's ever had also. So at Benchmark Apparel, as I said, we're screen printing, and as you said, we're heat pressing. We're making not only apparel for Benchmark, like staff stuff, I mean, as you're wearing.
Yeah, represent.
We're also making things for like local organizations, donors, stuff like that. And as we're doing that, we're not only making a profit, but we're helping students get that real world experience as well. And also what we're doing, like screen printing, I consider it to be an art. And I think a lot of people would too. So I think it's really beneficial for like a high school student, this being their first job, to be in somewhat of a creative field, because a lot of jobs for high schoolers right now, mostly fast food or retail, they don't get a lot of room for creativity, despite what those employers might tell you. They really don't. And those jobs, I mean, for a lack of a better word, they're just not fun. They're not ideal for high school students. So I'm really fortunate for Benchmark Apparel to be my second job ever, and hopefully one of my final jobs. And I also hope it's a privilege for the students here at Benchmark to work here as well, for it to be their first job. Because in a management position, I try to make it not only lenient, but also fun and educational, I guess. I just really want it to be a super beneficial job opportunity for our students. And being in a creative field while also getting to work with clients and know how the process through getting orders works, I think there's a lot of skills to be learned at Benchmark Apparel.
Okay. Yeah, on that, tell me about, from the time you started with Benchmark Apparel to now, what kind of technical skills go into the industry? What I don't know, what's your favorite thing to do?
My favorite thing to do? It might be kind of a cop-out answer, but actually screen printing is really, really fun. I've gotten the opportunity to design some stuff as well, designing the actual things that are going on apparel. That's really fun, being a graphic designer. When it comes to technical skills kind of outside of actually screen printing, I'm really putting, I suppose, my leadership skills to the test. I didn't start in kind of a managerial position, obviously, but now kind of running the show, I've learned a lot about leadership. There's been a lot of trial and error as well, because I'm in my second year of college. If I'm being completely honest, there's only so much more that I know than a high schooler.
Sure.
So it's really a learning experience for me. So I'm putting my leadership skills to the test, also my communication skills. I'm talking to clients a lot more, which isn't something I initially did. And that's also not something I've done a lot before working here. So getting that experience kind of in real time, and also talking with clients, that isn't something that I've really touched on in my classes yet either. It's something that's only been kind of briefly talked about, but I haven't actually gotten to put it into practice. So I'm doing that. I don't really get a practice round. I'm just kind of being thrown into it, but it really has been a learning experience. And so, yeah, I would think my leadership skills and communication skills, those are really the things that are being tested while I'm here, for the better, I think.
What insights would you say you've gained through that process, whether about yourself or about, work or school in general?
Something really big that I've learned that I think kind of applies to every aspect of my life right now, work, school, and even just everything else in my life. I really need to, it's really important for me to put myself out there. Nobody else but you is going to put yourself out there. And so at work and at school, I've really learned that I'm not exactly the type of person that things to put myself out there. I'm kind of just along for the ride a lot of the time. And I've learned that if I want to connect with people, whether it be for work or school, I need to make the effort. And so how that manifests itself at work is maybe like needing help with something, because as I mentioned before, I'm learning as I'm here. Asking for help, getting my work noticed by others, that's something I need to make an effort to do. It doesn't necessarily just naturally happen. That's also something I've needed to do at school.
Right.
And so that's something that's brought to my attention constantly as I'm working and studying simultaneously, that you really need to try whenever it comes to that. And those things won't necessarily just happen to you.
Sure. For you, do you think that's a product of being introverted, or just needing the reps of, like practicing, putting yourself out there, or is it something else?
I would say both of those are accurate.
Yeah.
Because I am an introverted person. As much as I love talking to people, I don't really have like the natural, I don't know what you would call it. I'm not the type that just goes up to people and talks to them.
Right.
Not necessarily because I don't want to, but it just doesn't come naturally to me like it does other people. And also just not having the experience beforehand. I've been a designer and I've dabbled in business before coming here, before being a college student. But I didn't really have the opportunity to experience it actually, if that makes sense. It's always been kind of mock situations or scenarios that I've never actually gotten to put my skills to the test.
Right.
And so it's just another situation where I'm constantly experiencing new things every day, and having to just try something and just put myself out there.
That takes a lot of everything, but a lot of grit and determination, and I mean confidence in yourself too. It can't be easy to do that on a regular basis.
I think I've definitely come a long way. I don't think if you took like 17-year-old me and dropped me here, I think I might have had a panic attack because I honestly, a lot of my confidence, well, I say that, but now that I think about it, I think a lot of my confidence does come from being thrown into things. I believe that I work best under pressure. So maybe if you did throw 17-year-old me here, maybe I would have been fine. But I think that I've learned a lot as things have happened so quickly to me. Because as I said before, I got hired here pretty much at the same time that I enrolled in college. So that's two completely new experiences happening to me at the same time, and kind of having to juggle them at the same time. But they're still working in tandem with each other. What I'm actually doing in school, at work, and also the skills I'm using for both of those. And also just like the environments that I'm in. I'm very privileged to be here in this environment and here at my school environment, because I think both of those areas for me they've propelled my confidence. I don't know if some people would be able to say the same thing if they're working and studying somewhere else. So I think I'm just very lucky to be where I'm at, and very lucky also that the speed at which I've been experiencing things hasn't been detrimental, and that it's it's definitely helped me be more confident and not be afraid to put myself out there. If anything, I'm more excited to put myself out there than I've ever been.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. On so many levels, the fact that you can do it, but the fact that you can sit here and be introspective about it, I think speaks to the depth of your character as a person. Yeah. People twice your age probably wouldn't be able to sit down and reflect on it like you just did.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so you mentioned a high school student is getting training in Benchmark Apparel. Can you tell me about how that came about and kind of what the goals are there?
Yeah. His name is Chance. Chance is a junior in high school, I believe. There have been changes in team members at BMA. Like you worked there at one point. I started with you. And then Noel, one of our mentors, also worked with us at one point. And as he transitioned out, we were bringing students in. As he transitioned out and I was taking Noel's position, I guess, a student was brought in, basically taking my previous position. So that's another thing I was kind of thrown into, being a leader.
And what's the goal with Chance? Sorry.
The goal is for him to get him ready for the workforce, I suppose. He's already ready, in my humble opinion. He's been great. But to also, I suppose he's sort of setting an example for other students. Because while there's been other employment opportunities at Benchmark, I think Benchmark Apparel it provides something different for high school students that they might not get otherwise. So the goal with him is not only an extra person to uphold the business end of it, but to also show other students that they can be in his place and that there are opportunities for them. I would happily take any student that wanted to work at BMA because it's a great opportunity. And yeah, I think there's a lot of growth opportunities for students at Benchmark program and Benchmark Apparel. So I would really say the end product of employing students is personal growth, because they're expanding their skill set and also probably gaining a lot of insights into their own character. As I said before, this is for a lot of students their first employment opportunity, and there's a lot to learn about yourself whenever you're getting a job for the first time. So my goal is to make that opportunity as beneficial as possible and as fun as possible for them to grow and seek out more opportunities as they get older. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really cool. And to your point, that is kind of rare for high school kids to have that opportunity to grow and gain skills before they have to do it, quote unquote, for real. One of the, like you mentioned, we worked together while I was still in Benchmark Apparel, and one of the students that I worked with while I was there, he was unable to show up on time on a regular basis, and that would have gotten anyone fired very quickly out in a full-time job. But we were able to have some coaching around that, and he, I think, now knows in this current phase of his life he needs to have a job that works, that has late afternoon hours.
Right.
And he was able to come to that realization and pivot and continue being successful, I think, without being fired.
Right. I think there's a lot of, I don't know if stigma is the right word, but I feel like employers aren't nice to high schoolers nowadays, and there's really not a lot of room for them to grow and a lot of spaces where they're being hired. So that's really what I hope to provide at Benchmark Apparel. Kind of a practice run for them where they can make mistakes and not feel like their job is on the line for it.
Right. That's really cool.
I'm glad.
You did mention that you've been working more with clients now. What has been one of the larger orders that you've had to fill?
I could tell you the largest order I've ever had to fill. It was for a conference on juvenile justice. And we had to heat press on, I think it was 1,300 padfolios in about a month, which is also something we had never done before. We had never heat pressed on, I think, like faux leather padfolios before. And it was 1,300 of them. I think that was 44 boxes that Will brought into the building that day, full of padfolios. That's the biggest order I've ever had to complete. And I also designed the design for it that was going on it. And I think in working on that order, whenever it comes to clients, I learned that oftentimes clients don't always know what they want, which is a very, very big thing for me to know as a graphic designer. And that a lot of the times it's kind of on you as a designer to help the client realize what they want. So that was something big that I learned. And it was something I had to try really hard not to be frustrated over. But
I mean, I could only imagine. Does anyone under the age of, I don't know, 40 know what a padfolio is?
I don't.
Like, had you ever held a padfolio in your hand before that order?
I don't think so. Because I was told that we were going to be doing 1,300 padfolios, and I was like, cool. But I didn't have an image of my mind of what a padfolio was. It was only whenever 44 boxes of them came in that I was like, got to figure out how to do this now. Which is another thing that I learned. It's probably good for me to do some research on the things that I'm printing on from now on, because there were so many burnt padfolios at the end of that order.
Like literally burnt.
Yeah, literally burnt.
Scorched.
Yeah. And there's also not a lot of resources out there whenever I'm looking it up, how to print on these things. Nobody does it. So now I'm the resource, and I know how to do it. So if anybody needs help printing on padfolios, I got you.
Noted. I guess that's a good point, though. Like, as essentially a small business, you have to be hungry and willing to adapt and meet new challenges. But at the same time, you have to be able to do it in a smart, comprehensive way, so that you don't burn through your profit margin.
Yeah.
In a literal way. My gosh, 1,300 padfolios. Wow. Well, that's I admire you for finishing that. While we're talking about business stuff, you also, in addition to working at Benchmark and being a full-time college student, you also have a business of your own. Can you tell us about that?
I do. It's called NAHCO, N-A-H-CO. It's an apparel business that I co-own with two of my friends from college. We do similar things to what we do here at BMA, but we are kind of targeting specifically people like ourselves, students at PCAT also. What we usually do, or what we've been doing, is we've been selling at the local art markets that happen at PCAD. And we've really grown in doing that. We've figured out the formula, I guess, for what our target audience likes. And we've also learned a lot because I think this is all of our first like actual business opportunity. It's really, really been a learning experience. I feel like I could say that about everything, but I've learned so much doing that. It's been wild in a good way.
Well, what is the formula when you're catering apparel towards college students?
I guess it's hard to put into words what exactly we like, I guess.
You can just tell me it's a secret, and it's proprietary to NACO.
It is a secret, and unfortunately, due to legal reasons, I can't tell you. But yeah, no, if this makes any sense, we are just being really authentic in the designs we make. While here at Benchmark Apparel, there usually is like something specific I'm putting on a design,
right?
And it's for an actual business. We're just kind of doing what we want at NACO, which has really proved to be successful. Whenever you're not really restricting yourself creatively, I think that really is effective in marketing to a certain audience. I think that's what a lot of people like about us, because also in doing art markets, we've gotten a lot of publicity. Feels like too serious a word, but that's a word I don't want to associate with what we do. But people know our name, and people see our shirts out and about. That's how we actually got started. In December of 2024, I think, me and these two friends just printed some shirts for fun, and one of us wore it out to, I believe, a protest, and a lot of people were asking them where they got their shirt, and we made it. So yeah, and I can't tell you here what was on the shirt because it's something I can't repeat, but it was, but people loved it. And that's why I think it's so important to be authentic in yourself whenever you're putting forth a business, because people will love it. If you're putting all of yourself into what you design or what you make, it'll really catch people, I think.
Fascinating. So what do you feel when you see a product you've created out in the world?
It's probably one of my favorite things in the world. I've had professors come up to me and say that they're seeing my stuff everywhere. And sometimes, because it's not even just students that buy our stuff, the art markets at PCAD, they're open to everyone. I will just see people that aren't students wearing our stuff. And that makes me really, really happy. I think as a graphic designer, one of my favorite things, my favorite thing in the world to design is tangible things that I can hold in my hand, that I could see people wear. So it's just super, super rewarding to see that, especially since a lot of what I make for NACO, it's not something super serious. I'm really just having fun with it. It's really nice to know that something that I'm just making for fun reaches that many people. And it just, there's only so much I can say about how happy it makes me feel.
Does it feel serious to you?
It has to me at some points. I've had to stop myself at some points from putting like everything I have on the line to make NACO products, because it is a shared business. I co-own it with two of my friends.
Right.
And we're all different majors. I'm a graphic design major. One of us is an illustration major, and the other one is an animation and game art major. So we're all applying different assets of ourselves to the business. And as a graphic designer, I think a lot of my brain is geared towards business-related things.
Sure.
Because that's a big part of graphic design. It's a business-related venture. So it's been a little hard for me to remind myself that it is for fun and that it's not my baby. And I think in reminding myself of that, it's been a lot more enjoyable. And sometimes, even if it is for money, you don't need to take it that seriously. Especially since this is also something I've had to remind myself. NACO isn't something that we're living off of. A lot of the money we make from that is put into the next designs we make. We're not really using any of that money personally. So for me, it's been serious at times, but I think when I'm happiest is when I'm just having fun working on it, and that I'm not stressing myself over it, because that's when it starts to feel like a 9-to-5 job than a fun side hustle with my friends.
Yeah, sure. And just so everyone listening knows, not everything you design is explicit in nature. Design is hanging behind you. That's a design from NACO. So, yeah, but just for the record, what did it say?
It said, I need a... and it was a bestseller. And I did get a strongly worded text from my mom after she saw that we were selling that. And that was the shirt. That's kind of what jump-started NACO.
Yeah.
People at a protest saw that shirt and were like, that's so sick, I want that.
Yeah.
So I'm proud. I'm proud that we sold that shirt. I didn't design that shirt. But yeah.
Has your mom recovered?
I think so. I hope so. I hope that wasn't a permanent hit to her health in all aspects. But yeah, I was gonna say we've grown a lot since then, but honestly, I don't know if that's the truth.
Yeah.
Our humor has remained the same, and I think it's only contributed to our success. So
be true to yourself.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Is that was that kind of a one-off, or have you made I don't know, iterations of that?
It was a one-off.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to make iterations on it. But excuse me. Maybe that's one that won't be touched again. I think that's an artifact that's to be left alone.
Maybe for the best. Sometimes creative genius strikes like lightning, and it just doesn't strike in the same place twice.
That's true.
Yeah. Have you ever had to sacrifice anything like sleep or food or whatever for your business?
Yeah. A lot of times, I would say often. To be completely honest, a lot of our orders have been actually printed very last minute. I would say we like to spend as much time as possible on the design process and thinking about what we actually want to sell. So whenever it comes to printing, there has been a lot of late nights being here until midnight, just getting it out so we can sell them. And that's one of those things where it's ultimately been beneficial from a business standpoint, because we've had a lot of shirts to sell, and We've been very successful at doing that. But that's also another thing where I would try not to do that again in the future, because as I explained earlier, it's for fun. NACO is for fun. And I don't ever want it to become something that takes away from our lives. I mean, sacrificing a few hours of sleep, it's no big deal. I'm a student. I have to do it all the time. But whenever I move on to more serious things, like my own personal brand, me as a designer, rather than us three at Friends making things as fun, I know not to do that, because that's going to very quickly make things not enjoyable for me anymore.
Right.
And graphic design is probably one of the number one things I enjoy doing. I don't ever want to make that not fun for myself anymore. So yeah, that's another way NACO has been a learning experience.
Yeah. What do you think you'll do once you've graduated college and you're out making money and you're faced with that dilemma? What do you think you'll do differently to avoid being in that situation of making shirts at midnight?
That's something I'm still figuring out today, because I have to do this with work sometimes too.
Right.
I think whenever it comes to that point, if I am kind of working myself to the bone for my craft, I'll do it if I need to. I'm willing to make those sacrifices to make something I'm happy with. But 9 times out of 10, even if I'm staying up hours into the night, a lot of the times I'm not happy with what I make. I'm always critical of the things I make, even in the face of so much praise, because I'm fortunate enough to get a lot of praise from the people that see my work. I'm still critical of it. And I really do want to spend as much time polishing what I make, because I want to put something out that I like. And the struggle of that is also time management. And as I make more stuff, especially like in class, because I'm doing that all the time, I need to learn about myself and learn more about how I work, so I can accommodate for myself and make sure that I'm not sacrificing my health or anything for what I make. It shouldn't be one or the other. I want to be healthy while making things I'm happy with.
Yeah, that's a really great perspective. I think a lot of young people have like a hustle and grind mentality of success at all costs, or maybe I should say the appearance of success at all costs. And so I think that's a really mature perspective to recognize that there will be sacrifices, but the goal isn't to sacrifice. The goal is to be successful and be healthy doing it. Yeah.
From my perspective, it's if I'm not happy with what I make, then what was the point spending so many hours working on it? So keeping that balance of making sure I'm happy as a person and healthy as a person, while also growing as a designer. You really need to, as you're doing things throughout life, find a balance. And that's something I'm still working on. So yeah, it's hard to get that hustle mindset out, especially when you see that a lot in like media. There's a big like propulsion of the grind mindset. And I mean, not that that's a bad thing. I think it's always important for you to have self-discipline and always have a critical eye for what you make. Always be looking for how to improve. But I really don't see the point in working yourself that hard if you're not having fun doing it. And if you're losing sleep over it. Just got to find a balance. It's hard, but it's going to take time.
Yeah, sure. Speaking of balance, you are a student at PCAD. Has your experience at Benchmark Apparel and NACO. Do you find that influencing your studies at all?
Absolutely. I've had a lot of projects where I'm kind of being put into a, I guess, mock business scenario, and kind of having a first-hand experience of what goes into that. That really helps, even if what I'm making in class is ultimately for class. Like, for example, there was one project I had in a class called Design and Culture. That actually wasn't a graphic design class. That was a design thinking class, which is another major offered at PCAD. But for the final...
Wait, thinking is a
design
major?
thinking?
Oh, design thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's kind of hard for me to explain, but it kind of just goes into, I suppose, graphic design is more design-oriented, while design thinking, a lot of that is analyzing target audiences.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so if that makes sense.
Yes.
But I was taking this class because that's ultimately what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn more about how to address target audiences. And for our final project, the prompt was really loose. It was just we had to make some sort of product and address some kind of culture. And this was very easy for me because I immediately thought to address the art student culture at PCAD, and I made 3 shirt designs for it. And that project was received really well. I was using first-hand knowledge I have of printing, which I learned pretty much at Benchmark Apparel. I've never screen printed before working here. And also NACO, where I've seen firsthand what PCAD students like. And so that has really helped me be successful in class, not only in that class, but many others as well. So I think it's really important to seek out experience outside of class and work, because those 2 things aren't going to do it all for you. I can say put yourself out there so many times, but I think it really is important to put yourself out there. You shouldn't stop studying whenever you leave college or whenever you leave work. I think you should always keep seeking experiences outside of those. And for me, seeking those experiences has been in the form of NACO, where I actually know how to run a business. It's been trial and error, but I know how to do it. I know how to work with others and do it. I know how to produce products, what people like. And from that, an experience outside of class and work, I've been able to implement those skills everywhere else. So it's been a huge benefit for me.
Okay. Now let's walk that back the other way. Has there been anything in class that you've learned that you've been able to implement immediately at Benchmark Apparel or NACO?
Totally. Design-wise, there's a lot that I've learned. I've really honed in those skills, I think. And also, as much as the things I'm doing at college are like mock experiences, they're not actually giving me clients. I'm working for like an imaginary client. That's how it's doing. That's still experience, I think. And I'm also learning like legal things whenever it comes to the design industry that I didn't know beforehand. And that's really important for Benchmark Apparel. Also, NACO, but NACO is more of a for fun thing, so we don't always have to worry about legal matters. But in Benchmark Apparel, I know, I suppose, when to say no to some orders, which has been very, very important. And yeah, just how to manage like a workload, knowing how to manage my time better, I think school has been really, really effective in teaching me that. Because I'm kind of a crammer. I like to dedicate like a day to myself to just get a billion things done, and that's not great. So what I've learned in class is to really pace myself, and I can utilize that everywhere, especially at work and for my personal business.
Sure. Yeah. I want to drill down on that a little bit. How do you know when to say no?
I really need to. This is something that I've kind of had trouble all my life. I need to know when I'm getting tired of things. This kind of also goes into what we were talking about earlier, about knowing when to not work yourself to the bone. Because I don't want work. Work is important to me, and working somewhere that I enjoy is important to me. I don't ever want to put myself in the position where I hate coming into work. And I'm lucky enough to be here where I love coming in every day. But what I've also learned is I need to make it fun for myself. And if I'm, I suppose, stalling on orders that are maybe really, really big, like a 300 shirt order, that can be kind of intimidating. Maybe if I'm, I guess, trying to rush orders, it's good to say no whenever another one is on the list. And know that if I try to attempt some orders, I'm probably going to get to a point where I don't like coming into work anymore. So, yeah. Being just really aware of how I feel all the time. That's something I'm constantly learning to do. But it's been beneficial every time. There's really, I guess for me, sometimes it's kind of a sense of pride that keeps me from saying no to orders, because I have this thing where I think a lot of designers might relate, and a lot of people in general. There's kind of a constant feeling of having to prove myself, and that's as beneficial as that can be whenever it comes to pushing yourself and pushing your work and what you do. It also really weighs down on you, especially when the people around you already think you're doing a good job. So knowing how I feel and when I'm getting exhausted and when I'm not enjoying what I'm doing anymore, that's when I know that I probably shouldn't add something else to the list.
I think it's really interesting how you answered that, because I was asking that question expecting to hear, oh, if they're asking for a 5-color design and, a 2-day turnaround on X number of shirts, that's when I know to say no. Or, there's a red flag in the email from the client. Like, I just know they're not going to be a cooperative client, so I know to say no. I was expecting more of a technical answer like that. But I think that is a deeper answer that you gave. Because ultimately, all of that technical stuff does revolve around the human at the center of it.
Right.
If you're not in a space to, like a client or an order that you would normally take, if you're not in a space currently to take it, that's just as valid a point to say no as a technical reason. So I think that's smart, and ultimately probably a more intuitive way of running a business than just, does it check the boxes? Yeah, okay, then we're forging ahead.
Right. It's sometimes we get, as you said, like 5-color orders that I feel equipped to take on. And I'd love to take on orders like that because they help me hone in my skills. But sometimes even it could be like a big 1-color order, something that's arguably easy to produce. But if there's already a lot on my plate, I can only push myself so much before it's just not enjoyable anymore. So I think that's equally, if not more important than the technical aspects, because sometimes the technical aspects can be tackled in the certain circumstances. And I think emotionally and physically, it kind of works in tandem with that.
Well, there are many other questions I want to ask, but we should probably wind the conversation down. Olivia, what are we at time-wise?
53 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My internal clock was on. Just to wrap it up, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for all of your insight into the world of design, what it takes to get a college student to give you their money these days, and just running a business. Really appreciate it. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Thank you for having me, first and foremost. And I suppose I want to say that I think sometimes the world can kind of be against you whenever you're creative and you're younger in trying to get into the business scene and the creative scene. And I think ultimately just pushing past your fears is the answer. Just overcoming those and putting yourself out in the real world and knowing that nothing's ever going to fall in your lap. I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I would give to anybody in my position, because it's been very effective to me knowing that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.